Yo, Brawlers, this is your man, Glass Chin, and you're watching Glass Chin's Boxing. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So, Brawlers, a common question that keeps coming up in my Instagram DMs is what heavyweight fights I would like to see this year. This is an exciting time in the heavyweight division, with so many great fights to be made. The division hasn't been this competitive since the pre-Klitschko brothers era. So I thought I would do a list of the top 10 heavyweight fights I would like to see this year. I'm going to keep away from the obvious fights, like between the top 5 or 6 guys, so fights like Joshua versus Wilder, etc. won't feature on this list. I'm just going to focus on the fights that I would like to see, that aren't really obvious choices, or even fights that are probably that likely to happen. Think of this like my personal Amazon wish list of fights I want to see for my own enjoyment. Some won't be everybody's cup of tea. Number 1. Derekchisora versus Chris the Nightmare Arreola. This is a fight that was mentioned by Eddiehearn a little while back, and I said in a previous video I'd give my left bollock to see it. Arreola was linked to fighting Dillian Whyte last year, but Chisora versus Arreola is more competitive and a 50-50 fight for me. Both men may be on back-to-back losses, but Arreola managed to roll back the years against Andy Ruiz Jr. He put in a shift and a half, dropping Ruiz en route to losing on points. Previously against Adam Kanowski, he broke the CompuBox record for punches thrown in a heavyweight fight at 1,125 punches thrown over the 12 rounds. That is an insane volume for any heavyweight, and especially at this stage of Arreola's career. Chisora was arguably robbed in the first Parker fight and showed heart in the rematch. Chisora put in a better shift against Usyk, losing a close points decision than Anthony Joshua did handing over his titles. Looking back at Chisora and Arreola's careers, both men have been in and around the world level for the last decade or more. Why not let one of them have a final hurrah and a great scalp on one of their records? The age-old loser retires gimmick may help to sell this fight, but really this fight should sell itself. If Eddiehearn wants to put Canelo on his own pay-per-view in the early hours, Chisora will help the UK market, and by contrast, Arreola is great for the Mexican fans buying the pay-per-view in the US. Both men proved last year that they still have a lot left in the gas tank, and may the best man win, should this fight ever happen. Next up, at number 2, to steal a wrestling quote, the immovable object meets the unstoppable force. Filip Hrgović versus Arslanbek Makhmudov. Two powerhouse knockout machines, both 14-0 with 26 knockouts between them. What is there not to like about this matchup? Either man could go at any moment. Filip Hrgović is currently the most avoided man in the division, and Makhmudov may soon find it hard to matchmake with his 100% knockout ratio. It's a shame the IBF has mandated Hrgović to fight Zhilei Zhang because this matchup is much more mouth-watering. I can't split the two and don't have a clue who should win if these guys meet. They are evenly matched right across the board, and both men could be the dark horse in the division. Once Hrgović beats Zhang in what I expect to be a one-sided beatdown, Hrgović may have to wait on his IBF position for a long time, with the Usyk rematch with Joshua unable to take place anytime soon. Would the new bogeyman Filip Hrgović risk his position to fight a complete beast like Makhmudov? I don't think so, but we can only hope. Next up at number 3, a fight a little outside the box, but I'd like to see it anyway. Hughie Fury versus Jerry Forrest. Forrest, in my opinion, has been robbed back-to-back against Zhilei Zhang and Michael Hunter, and will give Hughie Fury some much-needed competitive rounds. But in a fight, Fury should still win. Forrest, for me, since quitting his day job at a nuclear power plant, is the most improved heavyweight in the division, and he will give Hughie Fury a much-needed test. This may not bring in the casual market, but for the boxing purists, this is a good matchup to further Hughie Fury's development. Speaking of development and needing competitive rounds, at number 4, we have Fabio Wardley versus Jonathan Rice. Should Wardley not get a shot at the British title if joejoyce vacates, that would most likely be against Nathangoreman. A good scrap that Wardley could lose if he's not on form would be against Jonathan Rice. Rice is coming off 2 big wins against ex-Marine Michael Coffey and has proven himself to be durable. Even though he fell victim to Makhmudov, he was able to go the distance with knockout artist Efe Ajagba. Don't let the fact that Rice is 15-6 fool you. He would give Wardley some decent rounds and a lot to think about. I actually really like this matchup. At number 5, I would like to see the Nordic Nightmare Robert Helenius fight ex-Olympian Ali Aaron Demirzon. Demirzon has impressed me in his last 2 fights. He needs to build on his knockout win over Gerald Washington. Helenius may be a step too far for Demirzon, but it's a competitive fight, and I would make Helenius the favourite. Now that Helenius' personal issues are out of the way and he seems to have refound his love for boxing and is having an Indian summer in his career, he's 1 or 2 wins away from a world title shot. It's strange to think that his time in and out of the top 10 over the last decade, that Helenius has never had a world title shot. For number 6, I'm going to drop down to the British domestic scene for this one. Should Nathangoreman not get the Fabio Wardley fight, then a decent Sky Saturday night fight night bout for him would be Cash Ali. Ali has found himself in no man's land since he bit David Price and was disqualified back in 2019. Had Ali been fighting in America, that bite would have helped his career by promoting him as a madman, and anything can happen. Even the press conference with David Price was gold. The first time Price ever got angry and looked like he actually wanted to get up and hit Ali. There and then. Ali is on a 6-fight winning streak since then and doesn't seem to be getting much airtime, both on TV and on social media. There isn't any buzz around Nathangoreman, so igniting an all-British feud like this may help promote both men's careers. Why not have both men fight on an undercard, call each other out and then make them the main event at a show down the road? Start hounding Ben Shalom, brawlers, and make this fight happen. Nathangoreman versus Cash Ali, great fight, you heard it here first. At number 7, dropping from 2 domestic level Brits to 2 novice prospects, both at 5-0. Now that Stephen USSR Robinson and George Fox both got exposed, I would like to see the Romford Bull, Johnny Fisher, take on Nick Campbell. Both got some much needed competitive rounds in the bank in their last couple of fights, and decent exposure on big fight cards. Rival promoters would most likely get in the way of this one, but it would be a great fight if it happened. Evenly matched in most departments and experience, the better man could go marching on towards the British title scene. Unfortunately, Eddiehearn and Ben Shalom would most likely get in the way of this one happening so early in their careers. But should these guys meet, my money is on Johnny Fisher. Bosh! Number 8, Georgearias versus Hemi Ohio. I did a video last year on how this fight needs to be made, so if you haven't seen it, please go and watch it. It'd be like a 2022 version of Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier. Honestly, their styles match up so well. Arias is one of the most rounded heavyweights out there, and just had his career best win, taking Cassius Chaney's O, and his record now stands at 17-0. Ohio fought twice last year, improving his record to 18-0. These guys need to get on, but unfortunately both guys are largely under the radar. Hopefully now that he's with Ludabella and just fought on the Hunter versus Forrest undercard, Arias' career will start moving. I can't stress, brawlers, how much I like this fight. Both of these guys need to be seen by a larger audience, and a fight against each other could be an instant modern classic. Number 9. Right, let's get back to the big leagues. JoeJoyce versus Tonyyoka. May be the most likely fight to happen, at least down the line, and maybe a little bit too obvious a matchup for this list, but I really want to see this one, brawlers. They need to replay their 2016 Olympic Games final. Many people, myself included, think that Joyce was robbed of an Olympic gold medal in that fight. Yoka has a great fight coming up with Martin Bakole soon, and I will do a prediction video for that fight in the coming weeks. Yoka was the first man willing to take the Filip Hrgovic fight after his original fight date with Martin Bakole was cancelled due to COVID and travel restrictions. Bakole threatened to sue though, so Yoka was forced back out of the IBF final eliminator. Joyce has been calling out everyone from Luisortiz, Joseph Parker, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua in recent months. His record is 13-0 and Yoka is 11-0. I can't think of any current top heavyweights with better records than these two after the same amount of fights. This is a natural fight to make, and I think it would sell out the O2 and do decent numbers on BT Sport pay-per-view. This is a really hard fight to call. Let's see how Tonyyoka performs against Martin Bakole in his next fight before I make a prediction for this one. But as it stands, brawlers, I'd make JoeJoyce a favourite. Finally, brawlers, number 10. A little bit out of pity after he was robbed of his WBA regular title by Don King, and then was mugged off being able to regain the title against Trevor Bryan, I would like to see Emmanuel Charr get one last decent high-level fight. In a fight that is very unlikely to happen, I would like to see Emmanuel Charr take on Luis King Kong Ortiz. Ortiz is being linked to Anthony Joshua, but I think he's too over the hill for that fight. It makes sense for Joshua to get ready for the Usyk fight, as Ortiz is a slick, technical southpaw, but he showed he was over the hill against Charles. I walked this earth like a god, Martin. Charr is also up there in age, and he has been inactive, although he did knock out Chris fake Mexican record Lovejoy last year. Martin was able to hurt Ortiz multiple times and dropped him twice. Charr carries power too, and always comes to fight. You would make Ortiz the favourite, but as with the Martin fight, this could be very competitive, with some explosive action while it lasts. So there you have it, brawlers, my top 10 heavyweight fights I want to see this year. Just a quick mention to Gerard Big Baby Anderson. He's my favourite up-and-coming contender, and I'm looking forward to see whoever he gets matched with next. I also nearly put the White Rhino, David Allen, versus the Savage, Alan Babbage, on the list. God, these nicknames are getting more WWE all the time. Anyway, Brawlers, what do you think? Do you agree? Is there any fights I missed out? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And as always, Brawlers, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.